Good morning, everyone. I'm Kathy Kiely, president of the Ad Club, and I want to welcome you back to the Big Orange Couch. Today, I'm on the Big Orange Couch with Matt Wohl, vice president and CMO of Welchs. Welcome to the Big Orange Couch, Matt.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I was fascinated by your background. So you came out of Gillette, Procter & Gamble as well, and ended up in jams and jellies. I like that. I call it progress.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about the transition from Gillette to Welchs.
Yeah, it was great. I was at Gillette for 16 years and had the fortune of working on a lot of different brands and a lot of different regions. I did global businesses, I did North American businesses, big businesses, small, male, female. And this was just a great opportunity to get into a different category. It's primarily domestic, so it's primarily a U.S. business that I'm working on. But it's just a very different category, very different consumer. We're going from very male-oriented to family and moms buying for the family. And so it's just a really interesting dynamic to make that shift and to see the difference between two different categories.
Talk to us a little bit about the brand, the history of the brand.
And it is a brand with a long history. It's 150 years old, started in 1869, and has just progressed year after year since then and just become an institution within the U.S. and one of those iconic brands.
Talk a little bit about, from the history of the brand, how you've gotten to your current brand purpose.
We spent a lot of time looking at our history, looking at old advertisements, looking at old letters, looking at books that we had about the history of Welch's, to really uncover what is it about the brand, why was it started, and what is it that has been held true over the years. And we found ads from the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, up until the 90s. Embedded in those commercials is a consistency and a thread that we started to identify from 1920s all the way through until early 2000s. Via, who's our agency, is outstanding and has done an excellent job helping us identify the brand purpose and was a partner with us as we started going through those ads and trying to figure out what that common thread was. They helped us develop the brand purpose, the articulation, the visualization of that brand purpose, which then led into, once we had that, okay, now how do we want to show up to consumers? Because brand purpose is very much internally focused. It's more about us. It's more about a motivation for us. It's an inspiration for us as an organization of who are we, what do we stand for. Consumers aren't necessarily buying something, they're buying into something. And so our new commercial is really how do we articulate and visualize what they're buying into, which is very much around the family, the enjoyment, the pure joy that people get from being with their friends and family.
So how do you now, in 2011, go from people feeling warm and cozy about the brand to people saying, this is something I have to have.
Yeah.
This is something I think you referred to it as desire.
Right. And we talk about it as a smile brand. It's a loved brand. When you talk to people, 99 out of 100 people will smile and say, oh, I love Welch's. You'd be hard pressed to find somebody who doesn't love this brand. The transition we're trying to make is to move from love to desired. And desired is I want you here today. I want you to be in my life today. And making that transition is really making ourselves relevant, reminding them why they love the brand, what is it about the brand that they love. It's like a great friend you had in college who you haven't talked to in 10 years, but when you reconnect, it picks right back up. You remember all the great times you had. You start as if you were never apart.
You talk to many CMOs and they'll say it's getting more and more confusing to look at your budget and figure out where I should be spending. How do you look at new media? How do you experiment? What do you do to sort of stay current and make sure you're, sampling, if you will?
Right. Yeah, it's an important point because it's moving so fast.
Right.
And constantly testing, experimenting is important to know where is it going and try to stay. I wouldn't say stay ahead of it, but stay up with it because it's moving so fast. And so we're doing a lot in the social media space, Facebook and Twitter, and just trying to become part of the dialogue and really start, as I talked about earlier, in terms of building the relevance, making people think about the brand in a way that's something they want to buy into. And so using that space to be able to do that has been really important for us, and we'll continue to focus on that.
You hear so much now about the power of these mother bloggers, these mommy bloggers. Do you reach out to that community at all, or do you sort of wait until that comes to?
We're, again, being part of the dialogue, trying to get into that social media space, we're definitely out looking for what's the conversation, who's leading the dialogue, and how do we get ourselves to be part of that conversation. I heard at one point there was an analogy someone told me about social media, which is like a big cocktail party that you might go to on a Friday or Saturday night. You don't just walk in and start talking about yourself or what's important to you. You kind of ease your way in, you listen to some crowds, you see groups of people talking, you kind of find the one that's talking about a topic that you like. You walk your way up, you stand for a couple of minutes, and when the time is right, you engage and you say something. It's the same thing in social media. You can't just run in and start talking about what's important to you because nobody will listen. It really is listening to what they're talking about and what they are interested in. And if your interests match, join the dialogue.
Sure.
If not, move on and find a different group of people.
So we talked a lot about brand purpose, and in that brand purpose, you are, within that concept, you're family farmer owned, right?
Yep.
It's a cooperative.
Yeah.
That would seem to me that family farmer would work beautifully with that brand promise. How does that
Yeah, it
integrate?
does. And we've talked a lot about family farmer owned, and we've started to use that a lot more than we have in the past because it's an important part of who we are. And we talk about our family farmers are the heart and soul of who we are as a company. It's also an important point for consumers. There are a large amount of consumers out there who they want to know where their food comes from. They want to know that their food is grown, not manufactured. And so as they start to hear about Welch's being family farmer owned, it's also something they want to buy into. They take it very seriously, as do we, about what that means. What kind of company are we if we're family farmer owned? And so we're definitely using that, and that's a core part of our brand and will continue to be as we move forward.
Terrific. Well, I want to thank you so much for being here on the Big Orange Couch today. And not only are you a board member with the Ad Club, but now you have the distinction of having sat on the Big Orange Couch. So we are giving you a little present that we expect to see being worn all around Concord.
Okay.
And it says, "I sat on the Big Orange Couch."
That's great. Thank you.
And on the other side, the
Nice.
Ad Club.
That's
So
great.
thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Appreciate
This
it.
was a lot of fun.
That's good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And thank you again for joining us on the Big Orange Couch. Until next time.